Hi everyone. I wanted to make this video about I need to stop using the word whew. I'll get better at this, I promise. I want to make this video to walk parents through the process of requesting an assessment when you enroll your child in a school and you're in suspicion that he or she are in need of an evaluation for a diagnosis, or you already have the diagnosis and you want to enroll your child for the first time. So that's what this video is about: enrolling your child for the first time in a school and the process, special education, right? And the process that comes along with that. So I think I'm getting better at editing. So I use I'm not gonna. Well, I use a program now that I think I'll be able to do like a split screen, or maybe just show the screen of the paper as I go along, like the document that I'm reading. So I think that'll help rather than me just talking and going completely off task. So let's get started. So the first page. Okay, so let me see if I'm still on camera. Yes. So the first page, so the document that I'm gonna present in this video is the Parents Guide to Special Education Services, and it includes the procedural rights and safeguards. So that's page 1. So this is the handbook that they should, as I stated in my other videos, they should be handing you guys this handbook as soon as you mention special education, like your child and special education, your child and an assessment, your child and a diagnosis, anything that has to do with your child and their diagnosis. They have to provide you this handbook. And like I said, they're going to have you sign for it and make sure that you date it and all that good stuff. So on page 3 we have, hold on, is that page 3? 1, 2, 3, yeah. The introduction. So the teachers, administrators, and staff of the LAUSD believe in the equal worth and dignity of all students and are committed to educate all students to their maximum potential. It is our mission to maximize learning for all students within an inclusive environment so that each student can contribute to and benefit from our diverse society. It goes on and on. The guide will serve as your notice of procedural safeguards required to be provided to you by federal and state law. You will receive a copy once a school year. And so here goes, okay? This is what I've been saying in my other videos. So you'll receive a copy supposedly every year. And the first time your child is referred for special education assessment, or the first time you request an evaluation. Bullet point 2, the first time you file a state complaint, request mediation only, or request a due process hearing in a school year. Due process is what I did when they did not want to provide an IEE for my son. I requested a due process with the Office of Administrative Hearing. Mediation, I denied. They do first try to shoot for mediation. They try to see if somebody in the courts can mediate between you and the LAUSD. And yeah, so that's what that is. Or I think, no, you know what? I'm going to check on that. I think the mediator is even an LAUSD district, if I'm not mistaken. And so I thought to myself, why the heck would I want an LAUSD member to mediate? You know what I mean? Let's just go straight to the hearing. So, but I'm gonna check for you to see if it's an LAUSD member or if it's somebody from the court. So, bullet point 3, Whenever a decision is made to take a disciplinary action that constitutes a change in placement. Bullet point 4, when you revoke consent for continued provision of special education and related services for your child. And bullet point 5, when you ask for a copy. So you can always ask for a copy. That's the first thing you should always do. Or you can just get it from the LAUSD website, which is the website that I'm currently on right now. That's how I'm reading this to you guys. So further information, it gives information on additional calls you can make for extra support. I have been in contact with the Division of Special Education, the School, Family, and Support Services. They're really cool. I do feel like they do support families. I really do. It's kind of every time I file a complaint. Oh God, that sounds so ugly. I swear I'm not just doing it a lo puro way. I swear it's, anytime it's just like, hey, this is what's going on, like respond, or just, I'm just going to tell you that this is what's going on, just to have everything on record, my records and your records, that I at least spoke up. So every time that happens, they've been really cool, really cool. Like, I feel in my heart that it's real people, real parents, not 100% advocating for the district, but I could be wrong, okay? That's just my opinion, because I've spoken to some really cool people in that department. And I always speak to them with respect, I swear. So they have the call center, it's the same phone number, the complaint response unit, and the community advisory committee. That's composed of parents and students and adults with disabilities, teachers, other school personnel. I don't think I've ever got a hold of them. I don't think so. So we have page 5, the table of contents. Okay, so special education services. I guess you could on your own read page 1. So I'm sorry, I'm saying the pages because, yeah, we've not gotten to page 1, right? Page 1 I was saying was like the front page, and then so on and so on. But page 1 actually is page 1, the one that starts with the information. So in the table of contents, you'll see page 1, special education services, page 4, special education, the special education process. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Let me see the services. Does your child need special education services? What are special education services? What are related services? Are there services for children younger than age 3? When is a child eligible for special education services? I'm going to make this video. I already had the intentions of talking about the process. So maybe I'll make another one to speak. I know I'm kind of jumping the first part, but in my brain, that's just what I planned on doing. And then page 15, it shows the next one, additional rights under the special education process. So that is everything I had to go through in 2019. That was just not good for my mental health. But let's jump to the special education process. So, the special education process determines whether or not your child is eligible for special education and related services. And if so, what special education and related services are appropriate for your child. So who do you think makes that decision? I think this is what's appropriate for your child. There's going to be times that you feel something different than what they're saying. And then there's going to be times that, like, for example, me, I had no idea what to even feel or think, and people took action for me. Angels, right? Like, I consider them angels. A school psychologist and a resource specialist in my son's first school. Did they give me a verbal beating at first? Yes, but I needed it. I can see now that it was on behalf of my son. I really did not know what I was really truly doing, and they felt for my son, and it was insane. But I'm so grateful for that, and we got through it, and I thank them still till this day. I think I needed that. I really was really lost. Little did they know that I was really lost, right? They probably thought I was just being a complete not cool parent to my son, but that's how we were able to get to like an understanding of each other and each other's points of view. So there's gonna be people like that, right? And then there's gonna be people who think that they know 1,000 times more than you do about your own son, and that they're the professional ones, and that you're not, and you have no idea what you're thinking, saying, or doing, which we probably a little bit kind of sort of don't, but we know enough to know, like, no, tú estás diciendo puras pendejadas, excuse my language, I'm so sorry, but you know what I mean, like, that's not making a whole lot of sense. And so that's where the fight is. But anyways, so sorry, excuse me, I made sure to grab my water so that I don't. God, I am a disaster. So, okay. So, these are the 4 basic steps in the special education process. Step 1, referral for assessment. And then it gives you the breakdown of step 1. Referral for assessment, like if you could see in the bottom, a parent, guardian, teacher, other school personnel, and community members who believe that a child may need special education services may request a special education assessment of the child. So yeah, my son's teacher requested it about 2-3 times, and they ignored her request. So that's the fight. That's why documenting everything is important, because as soon as you make the request, they have to, by federal law, they have to take that seriously. They have to take that seriously. If you just vocalize like, hey, I kind of sort of think, the first thing some people want to do is, well, let's see. Let's let the child be in class with his peers, his age, and let's see. The only way we'll really know is if we see that they're struggling or falling behind. So what are your thoughts on that? My thoughts are, no, I feel something in my heart. I know something is different, and I'm not gonna wait. How long do you want me to wait? I'm not going to wait. So that whole let's see game that they want to play, I don't know where that comes from. I don't know who's the one that informed these administrators to do something like that. I don't know if it might even come from good sometimes, right? There are some good, kind-hearted people that I've heard say that, and I'll like kind of challenge them on it, and they kindly think, well, shouldn't we give them a chance to see if they can be amongst their peers, maybe learn from their peers, maybe be resourceful, catch up on their own. So that's why I tried not to give too much of a heavy opinion on anything. I don't want to manipulate anyone into thinking like I do now. I've been through years of this. So however, whichever route you want to take, if you want to give the child a chance and you see, but see, you're not the one that's going to see. The person that's going to see is the teacher. So let's say you put your child in a gen ed setting. Let's say this person you approached, which is usually the assistant principal, and no, I'm not talking about Mr. Garcia. You are the best. You did everything right. You, sir, should be knighted. Like, you are awesome. um, he immediately would start the process immediately. Like, let's start the process. Let's have someone see, right? Somebody who's trained to notice these particular types of behaviors, almost like a pre-assessment. So but there's going to be people that are like, the teacher will let us know. So what does that do? Now you have to go and see what kind of teacher this is. Is this the sort of teacher? This is no offense to teachers. I love teachers. I love teachers, especially the ones in my child's first school. Will they even have the training to catch on to anything that has to do with special education? You know what I mean? This is why I stated in another video to request a district validation review. So I'll talk about the district validation review a little more in another video. I don't know if I just mentioned it, but that'll tell you if the school is up to par with special education training. So they give them percentages of their no, right? So now you have to trust this teacher to catch on to see if your child is falling a little bit behind, if their behaviors might be a little different from the other children. Sorry. If anything, right? Anything. Does this person have the training? Or is this teacher just super used to the little different children? You know what I mean? Like, I've seen this before. They're just a little hyperactive. They're just a little this. They're just a little that. That's where there's different variables. So, did I just say different twice? So, a request. Okay, so the request should be made in writing and provided to the school principal, assistant principal actually. A request for a special education assessment form is available in all school offices. Wow, really? Once a request for assessment is received at the school, you will be provided a written response within 15 days. 15 days, remember, those are 15 calendar days, not counting school vacations longer than 5 days. If the district determines that an assessment is appropriate, you will receive 2 forms: Special Education Assessment Notification and Special Education Assessment Plan. So that's where, you'll receive those forms, right? So remember, make sure that, I guess they're saying that they have forms available in their offices. They've never offered me one, but you can just write it on a piece of paper. If the district determines that an assessment of your child is not appropriate, you will receive written notice of this decision. Ask for that in writing. Ask for everything in writing. You may appeal this decision utilizing one of the dispute resolutions processes described in this section. Your rights to procedural safeguards to resolve disagreements over what is appropriate for your child in this guide. The Special Education Assessment Plan describes the types and purposes of the assessments which may be used to determine your child's eligibility for special education services. Before your child can be assessed, you must consent to the assessment by signing the plan. Your school is required to make reasonable efforts to obtain your informed consent for an initial evaluation. Yes, that's true. They do try. You have at least 15 days from the receipt of the Special Education Assessment Plan to consent to the plan by signing it. The school has 60 days, not counting school vacations greater than 5 days, from the receipt of your assigned assessment plan to complete the assessment and hold an IEP meeting. If your child is enrolled or you are seeking to enroll your child in a public school and you refuse to provide consent, or if you fail to respond to a request for consent for an initial evaluation, the district may but is not required to request a due process hearing to obtain an order from an administrative law judge allowing for an evaluation without parent consent. That would be great, right? That would be great if I were to know that the district does go that extra mile to say, man, this parent is not getting it. Like, we desperately need to evaluate this child. We're going to take this parent to due process. Then great, right? Great. But then they're going to have to cough up a whole lot of services for that child. So does that happen? So the district cannot override your lack of consent if you have enrolled your child in a private school at your own expense, or if you are homeschooling your child. If a child is a ward of the state and is not living with this parent, with his or her parent, the district does not need consent from the parent for an initial evaluation if, despite reasonable efforts, the district cannot find the child's parents. Number 2, the rights of the parents have been determined in accordance with state law. Or number 3, a judge has assigned the right to make educational decisions to an individual other than the parent. So that's step 1, right? The assessment request. So I hope that I've given enough information. Remember, they either have the forms, you request a form. If they try to manipulate you out of doing this, but you in your heart feel like, no, I want to get this done right away because I strongly believe that my child can benefit from the services, then fight them. Fight them with emails. You are making me feel like ChatGPT, right? You do not care for my child's well-being. I don't believe you are offering me a FAPE, right? A free, appropriate public education. I strongly feel like maybe we should ChatGPT this. I strongly feel like if my child is in a gen ed class setting and is falling behind, that's a restrictive environment, right? That's another, you're breaking federal laws. Either way, they have to. Just write an email. I walked into the office on this day. I requested an assessment for my child because I'm in suspicion of, my child being under some spectrum, and you stated this. You know what I mean? Like, watch how fast, that you did not provide me a guide to special education services. You stated, let's see how the child does. So just write all that stuff down. Email all that to the teacher, to the assistant principal, and to the principal. So let's move on. So step 2 of the 4 basic steps in the special education process, assessment. So here comes the assessment. An assessment involves gathering information about your child to determine whether your child has a disability, and the nature and extent of special education services that your child may need. Assessments may include individual testing, observations of the child at school, interviews with the child and school personnel who work with the child, and review of school records, reports, and work samples. It also involves, it doesn't say here, parent interviews. During the assessment, your child will be assessed in all areas related to his or her suspected disability. So I want to talk about that really quickly. Your child will be assessed in all areas related to his or her suspected disability. So one of the assessments that I now help parents, sorry, I said I was not gonna do, that I now help parents request is a functional behavior assessment. They will try to convince you, and I think it is somewhere in somebody's assessments. I think the resource specialist, I think a little bit of everyone. I think they all kind of have some state standard assessment where they will assess the child's behavior. But let's say that the OT assesses the child's behavior. They might just be looking out for sensory, right? Or fine motor skills, gross motor skills, because that's their subject. A speech pathologist, they might just be seeing the child's, language. I don't know what else they test them on, but they might sprinkle a bit of functional behaviors, but with the focus of speech, right? A resource specialist. So I'm going to look into exactly, because I've not done this since 2019. I've not looked through all the horrors that I went through with my son. Sorry, I have, because I help parents, but I want to know directly what a resource specialist, what those assessments look like, because everybody does a couple of assessments, like state standard assessments. And so, but my point is, so then the resource specialist focuses on academics, and the school psychologist focuses on, they're the ones that perform the psychoeducational evaluation, the psychoeducational assessments, and they're the ones that provide the diagnosis. So they do look into behaviors, right? But a functional behavior assessment is performed by a board certified behavioral analyst. I strongly believe in my heart that one is needed to be part of this initial team, but one is not ever part of an initial team. This is an assessment that I've always had to fight for not just my son, but for, to help other parents. So they are fully trained to observe the child's functional behavior. And what that is, you know what, let me just give you the exact, and then I will just elaborate on that. What? It's not working. That's weird. Chat's not working. Okay. Let's try Google. So it says, at times, all children and youth can struggle with challenging behaviors. If a challenging behavior interferes with the learner's ability to learn, then a functional behavior assessment is needed. So we'll call it an FBA. An FBA can be used when the intensity, duration, or type of interfering behavior creates safety concerns or impacts a child's development. An FBA assists in the IEP team in understanding the function or purpose of a specific interfering behavior. Data collection is an essential component of an FBA. So I love functional behavior assessments because if a speech pathologist is focusing on speech, yes, they'll say something like, I did notice that the child goes off task, right? Let's just say they all say that. Yes, the child sometimes goes a little bit off task. But BCBA is going to be there and highly super mega focus on how long the child went off task, like in the exact duration, how many times this happened. Was the child resourceful and coming back on task? Did the child need to be prompted to come back on task? What kind of challenging behaviors did the child have? How long did they last? What happened before? What triggered the child? How was the child able to cope with, whatever caused the behavior? Like, what was the consequence to the behavior? Things like that I feel are very important to be part of the initial. So that's where they try to also convince you to just let them, como quien dice, like, acomodarse. But I strongly believe that it should be part of the initial. They don't include that in the initial team. So my advice is, make that request, put it in writing, and say you want this functional behavior assessment to be performed by a board certified behavioral analyst. So I don't know if I went through during the assessment. You could just, I guess, just read that on your own. So your rights to an independent educational evaluation, I spoke about this briefly in another video. You have the right at any time to obtain at your own expense. Yes, parents, at your own expense, because we all have $2,000 to $6,000 to spend on an assessment for our child, right? We all have that just lying around. By a qualified examiner who is not employed by the school district, for example, an independent assessor. And have the findings from that assessment be considered at an IEP. So I guess if you either have a friend or you were able to pay for it, you already have your own assessment, and you come and you're like, here, boom, use this. You do have the right to do that. You may also present the assessment report as evidence at a due process hearing regarding your child. You also have the right to request that the district pay for an IEE, I'm just going to call it an IEE, of your child if you disagree with the district's assessments. If you request an independent assessment at district expense, the district may either 1, agree to fund the assessment, or 2, initiate due process proceedings to show its assessment was proper. So I did talk about this in another video. Yes, they're going to try to do that. If the district utilizes the due process proceedings and the final decision of the hearing officer is that the district's assessment was proper, you still have the right to an independent education evaluation, but you will be required to pay for that evaluation. Whenever the district pays for an IEE, the criteria under which the assessment is obtained, including the location of the assessment and the qualifications of the examiner, must be the same criteria used by the district when it initiates an assessment. You are entitled to only one IEE of your child at public expense each time the district conducts an evaluation with which you disagree. So that's that. So now we're in step 3. Development and implementation of an IEP. So here it goes. After your child has been assessed, an IEP meeting will be held. So during those 60 days that we talked about, a whole lot is happening. Everybody is assessing the child. They go, I don't know how many, you can request, like you can ask how much time is each therapist going to be observing the child. Sometimes it's 10 hours in 10 hours, right? So, and then they break it down however they want. But not 10 hours straight. 10 hours, like I gave myself 10 hours, so I went 2 hours, and I'm not sure if that includes the interviews, but I think it's 10 hours. But anyways, so they'll go and observe your child and they'll fill everything out. Then they'll ask you to fill out all of these questionnaires, bunch of questionnaires, and a lot of questions that are just like, dang, I don't know. But it will say, I have no idea, I'm not sure, sometimes, rarely, often, very often. And you're just like, dang, does my child do this? Does he do that? I know that there are some people that'll say that you should lie and make it seem like your child is like bien fregadito, but I don't ever ask anyone to do that, not even in ABA. Sometimes they're like, pretend like your child like can't do anything so that you can gain all these hours. But what happens is, that's its own ABA thing. But for a school setting, they're gonna know anyways. They're going to perform their own evaluation. But what these questionnaires do is they put it into the report. So they'll even compare your responses to theirs. So they'll say, in the assessment, in the state testing autism spectrum scale, parents rated the child in the low standards. And then they'll compare and say, in the autism scale state testing, the district results were that the child was in a much higher, so, or low, like normal, not normal, sorry, don't ever use the word normal, benchmark, right? Benchmark. So that's just what that is. So just don't lie, just say the truth to the best of your knowledge. But yeah, they're gonna do all these assessments, and then comes the IEP. The IEP team has... Are you alive? Sorry, let me just... Sorry. I'm making a video. The IEP team has the authority and responsibility to design a program in which the child can derive meaningful benefit. Oh, wait. Did I skip something? Oh, introductory statements. I don't know if the IEP meeting is a collaborative process and all participants will be provided the opportunity to ask questions. They will let you ask questions, you guys, but they go really fast. They've been doing this for years. Some of these people are very exhausted, and so I see that. I don't agree with it completely, right? It's like, just give every single child, every single case your all. They do give their all. They do. But some can be maybe a little like burnout, and I strongly feel that it's the district can help them succeed, and they don't. That's my own personal opinion. But everything goes by really fast, and from what I've observed, some parents are just way too intimidated to even ask, or have no idea what they're even hearing, or don't know what questions to ask, right? And I can't do, sometimes I think I should create like a standard, like, hey, just ask these questions, like if I'm not there. But I don't know what exactly are they saying about the child. I don't know what's going on. I can't just do like a one size fits all questionnaire, like you should ask this. They'll allow you to record the IEP meeting. So if you want to request that, but request that as soon as you even request an assessment plan, or an assessment, or as soon as you get the assessment plan, tell them that you're going to record the meeting, and then you can kind of go through it and just educate yourself at home as best as you can. But it goes by really fast. They do give you like, do you have any questions? But it's like they just fly through their assessment. They tell you how great your child is, what a pleasure your child was to work with, and then they're like, do you have any questions? And you're like on the spot right there, like, and it's sometimes just you against everyone, or you and your spouse against everyone, and everyone's just like, so it's if it's not a comforting environment from the very beginning, it can be very intimidating. If you're not an intimidated person and you are going to ask 1,000,000,000 questions, great. Try to write all the responses down, please. The draft IEP behavior intervention plan or assessment plan might change as a result of the IEP team's deliberations. The decision on related services. So yeah, the draft IEP, they'll talk to you a week before. I don't know if like this has changed. I think this is from 2018, but they will interview you a week before to let you know of the findings, and you guys will kind of get to that if there are any changes, if you're already like in some kind of disagreement, if they'll try a week before to be like, parent, how do you feel? So they're always like, how do you feel? Like, how what do you think about this? Like, what do you wish? What are your hopes for your child? You know what I mean? Like, they really want to know where you are mentally with this diagnosis, or with this possible diagnosis. And I get it. I get that. So they'll try to do that a week before. If not, maybe some schools do it that day of, and then you'll be able to come up with something. So a draft IEP. The decision on related services and placement will occur during the IEP meeting, unless the team agrees that there is not sufficient information to make a placement determination. Placement. We talked about placement in another video. The placements I know of are general. They try to do they call it the least restrictive environment, right? The LRE, the least restrictive environment. So they'll say, as a team, we believe, because it's a team. So as a team, we believe that this child can benefit from this placement here, this one's the least restrictive environment in our opinion. So we have general education with services. So the child will be in gen ed and will be pulled out by the resource specialist, let's say 60 minutes a month. I think it's a month. And I mean, depending, right? Every child's different, but let's just say. And the speech therapist for 60 minutes a month, and the OT for 60 minutes a month. But the setting is going to be that the child can be with his or her peers in a gen ed setting. Then there's the special day program. That special day program, how does the district describe that special day program? How? I was never able to get a response. Never. I challenged everyone and I said, you explain to me. I want to hear it from your mouth. Explain to me what a special day program is to you. Because what I saw was one teacher with about 12 students that all range from different ages, okay? Ages that are in different levels under their spectrum. If levels, people ask me all the time. I don't believe in levels. If there's levels, there has to be from 1 to 100. You know what I mean? And they try to make it seem like this child is under the spectrum of autism and he's like about a level 3 or level 4. So I guess, I don't know, there's 1 through 4, but every child is a snowflake. Every child is different, right? Completely different. Just every human is different, right? There's billions of neural pathways. So you tell me, district, that you're not creating a one size fits all, but it seems very clear that this special day program is a one size. You can smash any child into fitting your one size. But that's what that is. Let's put this child that's under the spectrum that can't hang with the gen ed kids in a special day program with a whole lot of children under the spectrum, and the one teacher and the one TA have to just get to them and teach them. They just accommodate every child as they go along. So if this child is in advanced in math, the teacher will try their best to do math problems to their level while the other children wait. And then if this other student is in the stage of coloring, then the teacher gives them coloring books and then has to go to the other student, and the other student is, it's different for everyone. No behavior therapist in sight, so it's pretty heavy what I saw. So least restrictive environment, and so then there's the alternate curriculum autism program, and that's the one, if we're going to talk about levels 1 through 4, 4 being higher functioning, that's where it would be maybe levels 2 and 1, the lower levels, right? The children that need a little bit more help. And there are regulations for those classes. There are state laws that say that it has to be, I think, 1 assistant per 4 students. The class cannot be, I think, larger than 8 to 10 students. And yeah, so there's a lot of help there. And then I think the district has also, in my first couple of fights, they offered to pay for private schooling for my son and bus him into a private school. Thank God I made the decision to take him to Tweedy Elementary, because in my opinion it's just the best thing that ever happened to me. But so I denied the payment for a private school. But yeah, they'll talk about placement. Where am I? The decision on related services and placement. The district considers the family equal partners in the educational decision-making process, and any team member may propose an objective or goal in the IEP, even if it is not included in the Willigent Goal Bank. So yeah, during the meeting, the following people are members of the IEP. So during the IEP meeting, they'll talk about goals, and I made an IEP video. I don't know how horrible it was. I'm so sorry. I know it's pretty horrible, but I don't know. And people said it was informative. I know I did break down kind of midway. Sorry, but yeah. So they'll talk about goals. So I broke down the meeting in a video that I think I named Special Needs IEP Meeting. So yeah, God, I'm already in an hour. I'm so sorry. The following people are members of the IEP team: you as the child's parent or guardian, a school administrator, a special education teacher, or a special education provider when appropriate, a gen ed teacher if your child is or may be participating in gen ed, other persons such as your child whom you or the school wish to invite, and a person knowledgeable about the assessment procedures used to assess your child, familiar with the results of the assessment, and qualified to interpret the instructional implications of the results. This may be one of the persons described above. So it could be one of them, or it can be me or someone in our staff. So that's what we're here for. I want to attend everyone's IEP meetings, everyone's. And I'm currently trying to see who would dare do this with me. Right now I'm kind of a little bit on a solo mission, but I do feel in my heart that I can train anyone to be able to be in these IEP meetings, and not to go and fight. I swear, I don't like to fight. I don't. If you fight, don't say never, but it'll be much more challenging. Trust me when I tell you that some of these people are truly, truly there for your child, but there's only so much they can do. So I like to be there mostly to just be like, parents, what did you understand about what this person just said? And tell me if you're like, I have no idea what that person just said, like whatsoever. It's always going to be okay to me. It's very okay. Don't worry. Sometimes you can have an attorney present, right? And I've been also part of the IP team where we were able to bring in an attorney, and the attorney is just like taking notes of absolutely everything, does ask their own questions, and then comes up with the most insanely awesome, like, hey, this is what I heard, and no thank you, you guys did everything wrong, the child's gonna get this because I said. But so then I'm not, como quien dice, I'm not needed, right? But I'm there to translate in a different language. I'm there to translate with, hey, I was there and I felt this and I heard that and I thought it was this too, and it's okay. The point of our organization is the heart that we bring in, because everything sometimes can seem so cold. Sometimes it could not, right? Sometimes you have that beautiful person. I've had beautiful people. Shout out to Mr. Manzanares. Excuse me. Shout out to Miss Medrano, who you guys definitely were there for me and really cared about my son, and it was a blessing. But yeah, that's the team. There are circumstances where members of the IEP team can be excused from attending with your written approval. Will I receive notice of the IEP team meeting? Yes, you will, but let's see what they say. You should. The school will provide you with written notice of the IEP team meeting. Yes, it's called notification to participate in an individualized educational program meeting within a reasonable time prior to the meeting. This notice will include the date, time, and place of meeting. Make sure you see what the date is on that paper. I'm not going to say, well, I am going to say. The former assistant principal thought she could get away with handing me a paper and having a prior date on that paper, of course, to make it seem like I gave this to this person in a very reasonable time, not just the day before. And yes, I had her correct that. And yes, I wrote it down. And yes, we used the same paper. So I didn't say, give me another notice with the correct date. I did not say that. I crossed out that date and put a little note, and it said, this is not the date I am being handed this notice. Today's date is, and then I put that date that I received it. It is important to do that because everything goes into your child's school record. So if ever you want to fight the district and say you guys are not playing nice, you can request from the district the entire records, all of the records of the child's school records, and that'll be in there because they need to take a copy of that and put it in your child's school records. Have records gone missing? Yes, they have. When I requested my child's school records, of course there was a few things missing, but still, do this, scan it and email it to that person, and then scan it and email it to the special education chief of the district. So you'll receive a notice. You are an important member of the IEP team. If you cannot attend the IEP team meeting, you may ask the school to reschedule the meeting. Yes, you can. I think you have like three reschedules. The school will also try to facilitate your participation using other methods such as conferencing by telephone or video conferencing. Yeah, they do that, Zoom. The school must ensure that you understand what is going on at the meeting. For example, the school will provide you with an interpreter if you have a hearing disability, oral interpretation if your primary language is not English. If you are dissatisfied with the adequacy of the oral interpretation, you can file a complaint. Here's the Educational Equity Compliance Office. Yeah, that office I've had good meetings with. So I'll just stop the video here because the next question is, what is an IEP? And I'll stop the video here, but you can either just read it yourself, right? All the information is there, or you can go see my super long video that I made. And I have information there. So yeah, so I'll end this here. So I'm going to try my best to just upload these pages maybe on a split screen or on the screen as I talk. And yeah, so that's it for today. Thank you. Oh, look at Tismo. I didn't really show him that well. This is my little, in Spanish it's Tismo. I need to do the Spanish video, but this is my little buddy right here. I love this little guy. Yeah, it's my little buddy. Tismo. So I'll end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Animos, échenle ganas, and we're here for you guys, and we will 1,000,000% open doors one day, I promise. We are actually getting ready for our next event. We're hoping it's gonna be a Halloween event, and we can, have the kids dress up and stuff, and yeah, so we'll see how that happens. So pray for us always, and send us good vibes, well wishes, good thoughts, please. It takes a village, so hopefully one day, we'll get together and see we could take down the LAUSD. All right, so have a good day.